The landscape of the American workforce has changed forever. Entrepreneurs are being crafted out of pure necessity. At Stiletto Boss University, we use entrepreneurship as a foundation for teaching young women the power of sustainability, collaborative solutions, sisterhood, and community. In the midst of our current environment, we are wholeheartedly committed to the continued education of our young women. We introduce to you Stiletto Boss Talks Mini Conference. This virtual live event is designed to connect the SBU community and current users with prospective users and parents of SBU Premium. The conference will take place quarterly and will be filled with uplifting, actionable information and advice about the necessities of entrepreneurship.
It's really easy and exciting to accept everything, to accept every job, to accept every dollar. But we also don't realize often that we have lives outside of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is still work. It's still a business. It's not something that you can kind of show up to when you want to.
We're living in a technology-driven digital age, and we are of the mindset that everybody's online and they're not.
I feel like if you prepare your business to be able to be marketable, then that'll help you get the clients that you need.
I like that I get to help people in my own way. I have control over how I do things with my business.
So you have to always look at it from a multi-pronged approach and just like all the little pieces that work together. It's like gears on an engine, right? You got some gears that are smaller, some gears that are bigger, but you need all of the gears to make it work.
Thank y'all for all the gems that y'all are dropping. I'm like, yes, go, yes, my Stiletto Boss friends.
We hope to see you there.
Hello. So I'm Jania Massey. I'm the founding executive director of Stiletto Boss University, and I am super excited about today's quarterly Stiletto Boss Talks. We will be having the men on the panel today, and I have some questions for them. And I think a lot of times that people want us to, we just empower women, but I want you to see the men behind the scene that have empowered me and that have been a part of the journey so far. So we want to dive directly into it for I think this is our third Stilettos Talk conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off and introduce the men panelists today. So first up, I got to introduce my boy, Corey. I call him Corey Cameron. Long story. I'll let him share it if he wants to. But Corey is one of the reasons why Stiletto Boss University was able to expand. And he used to be a part of communities in school. Now he's I can't even remember where Corey is working at right now. I'm going to let him tell you. But Corey has been an advocate in the community, and he has been a strong advocate for Stiletto Boss University. So I want you guys to welcome Corey Bennett.
Thank you.
Hey, Corey Cameron.
What's going on?
How are you?
I'm doing great. Cameron is the middle name for everyone listening. Janice just decides to put both of the names together. I have absolutely no reason why. It's not even a backstory. It's just something she decided to do being herself.
Whatever. Okay. Thank you for joining us. All right. Next up, I would like to introduce Keith Cartwright. He is the director of college access programming for communities and schools. And he technically used to be Corey's boss. So when you hear the whole story about how Stiletto Boss came to fruition, it was expanded because of Corey, but in reality, it was expanded because of Keith. And I didn't even know who Keith was at the time. And Keith's daughter is actually a part of Stiletto Boss University. Her name is Corinne, and she actually won the pitch competition this year. So y'all welcome Keith Cartwright.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, man?
So technically, you're the reason why we expanded, not Corey.
No, I'm not gonna take credit for that. Corey is definitely the reason you expanded. Corey brought it to me. And then when I met you, I was like, yeah, let's do it. So yeah, but it definitely was Corey.
Okay. So last but not least, we have Sean. Sean is the ultimate boss to me. He's the owner of the Lucky Barbershop. It's in Walmart. It's in Columbia. I don't want to name all the locations because I may name a location that ain't really been released yet, and I can see him laughing already. But he has expanded his business across the globe. He's been national campaigns, and he's also the father of one of our participants, Aviana Corbett. So, hey, Sean, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How many locations do you have now? Because I think I was about to release one that wasn't supposed to be released.
Right now, we have 3 that's open, and then we have 2 that's getting ready to open in Atlanta in November.
See, I was about to say Atlanta, but then I was like, let me shut up.
Yeah, nah, ATL coming.
Since you
ATL
said it, I'm going to be good with it. So, everybody that watches this show knows that we do a game called This and That. So, y'all don't really know about this, but I'm going to ask you some questions, and y'all got to tell me which one y'all going to go with. And I may ask you why, okay? So, we're going to kick it off. Beard or a clean shave? Now, I know the answer for 2 people. You are the most clean shaven guy on this call. So, which one? Beard or clean shave?
I have to go with clean shave because I cannot grow a beard nowhere near what these gentlemen have. So, I have to go clean shave. It's not by choice. It's just by default.
Okay, so Corey and Keith, would y'all ever cut your beard?
For me, probably not. So, mine's a funny story. I started growing the beard because Corey encouraged me to try it, and then friends of mine encouraged me to give it a shot as well. So, I wish I had no idea how my beard even do this until the next thing I know, mine's longer than Corey's now. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Corey, would you cut your beard?
For the right price, absolutely.
What is the price?
It has 4 zeros attached to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, got it.
So the next question: football or basketball?
Basketball.
Okay. Sean, you looking confused? Football?
No, I like both, but I go with basketball. Basketball's cool. Yeah.
Keith?
Come on, fellas. The man sport, football.
Oh.
The only collision sport that exists.
Oh my God!
And I might have played it a little bit, but so I might be a little biased, but that's it.
I still be suffering from some of the effects of it.
All right. So next question: Jordans or Yeezys?
Jordans.
Jordans all day.
I got to be difficult on this one. Like neither.
Okay.
Neither. Yeah. I'm a New York Knicks fan, so I don't wear Jordans. And I'm originally from New York, so I have to go. If I'm gonna go with a classic, it's gonna be Air Force Ones.
Oh, okay. All right. So F-150 or Suburban?
I go with Suburban. I go with Suburban.
Okay.
It's the F-150 for me.
Why, Corey? So you can help people move?
I mean, people ask me, Keith is on this call right now, and we've moved him a couple times, and it could have definitely benefited us for me to have it. But no, F-150 because my dream car is actually a pickup truck.
Okay. So, Keith?
So this is difficult for me. I have an SUV, but if I had a choice, it would be a F-150 Raptor. But no, I would not be helping nobody move. This ain't a moving truck. This is a truck for me to. This is my truck. My truck is gonna be a moving truck.
Okay. And the last one: suit and tie or gym wear?
Athleisure every single day.
Okay.
I go suit and tie.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not, I go with suit and tie.
Yeah, I have to wear a suit and tie too much, so give me my jogging pants and my t-shirt. I'm good.
Well, see, that's the funny thing. Like,
right.
I've been a barber for so long that we started off wearing what we wanted, and so once we started doing certain ties, I noticed how people treated me and looked. So I kind of got into it. So I'm a shirt and tie guy now. I think I got more shirt and ties than anything now.
Really? Mm-hmm. I mean, all of y'all wasn't playing with y'all headshots. I was like, okay, let's do it. All right. So thank y'all for
Look,
indulging.
I was scared. Look, I was scared. I called Corey, like, what are we supposed to wear for this? To make sure I'm dressed right.
You know, that reminds me when we had the pitch competition and y'all walk up in there looking like ushers and everybody else is just chilling.
I was working there, Janine. I was working.
I know. But I was just like, y'all think came however, like it wasn't that deep, but you know, I appreciate y'all dressing up. So
right.
I want to go ahead and hop into the conversation because I've really been waiting for this conversation all week. And simply because y'all have supported me in a way that a lot of other men haven't. And I think it's because of how you see women in the workspace or women as entrepreneurs. So my first question is, do you consider yourself a male ally for female entrepreneurs? And if so, why? And Corey, I'm going to go with you first because I feel like you're going to have the longest answer.
All right. Oh man, it's so shady at 6:41. So let me say, I guess I would say that I am an ally, but I think I'm blessed and fortunate based on my upbringing and also the spaces that I work in. So the areas of expertise that I have are in nonprofit for community wellness, advocacy, and education. And it's sad to say it hasn't changed that picture yet, but when you're teaching a young person or a young child to say, hey, draw me a picture of what your teacher looks like, I think it's always going to be a woman. I've never seen a young person draw a man first and thinking that their teacher, even if they had that experience. So for me, I would say I'm an ally because I was brought up with that. That's my societal norm that I fed into, is that those in my area of expertise in teaching, educating, or really worrying about the welfare of community or public health has always been women. And I just happen to find myself in that space because I believe in advocacy for young people. And I've been more aligned with young women or older women in that facet. That most have been my supervisors. Keith has actually been the only man I've ever worked under as a supervisor in my entire career.
Wow. And do you think that's because you work in the nonprofit space?
Absolutely. Definitely the nonprofit community focused driven spaces, grant writers, a bunch of different funding, showing up the right way for the right people in the right rooms. I think, women just have found the cheat code to that, and specifically Black women, because of those supervisors that I had have always been Black women as well.
Right. So Sean, I'm going to throw it to you next, but you work in a more male dominated field when it comes to barbershops per se, not necessarily hair care. So do you feel like you are an ally when it comes to female entrepreneurs?
I'm definitely an ally. Like Corey stated, it has a lot to do with my upbringing. Like my mom's worked 2 jobs all the way till she couldn't work no more. So it's always like the working strong Black woman has always been embedded in my mind. And so as I got into business, this is the funny thing that I am a barber. The barber industry is such a male dominated, ego driven industry that a lot of times we can't get stuff done due to our ego. But when you work with women like, okay, what we doing? When it got to be done? Boom, let's go. And so like, I'm just a true believer that women breathe life into everything that they come across and they touch. So I'm definitely an ally.
Come on, somebody. I felt that. Okay, Keith.
So keeping with the theme here, I am very much an ally, and just like Sean and Corey stated, my mother was an educator. My mother was an educator for 40 years. And so I was strongly influenced by that. And my mother went from, moved up the chain in education and moved into from being assistant principal to a principal to actually assistant superintendent of a school system. So I had the opportunity to see that. And before she got remarried, I was able to see it was us. So it was just me and her, my grandmother actually. But so I got to see that piece of it from that perspective of watching this woman go off to work. And at the time, as a young man, I didn't understand what I was looking at. But as I've gotten older, I understand it. Seeing this woman go to work, come home, cook, clean, take care of stuff need to be taken care of. I saw the whole gambit of it. And so, whenever I think about working with women or being an ally, I often think back to my mom. I think back to the impressions that she made. And, anything I can do to help out women in entrepreneurship or whatever, I'm going to do my best to make that happen.
I like that. So do you feel like female entrepreneurs have a bad a reputation when it comes to them being bosses or being leaders? Do you feel like we, especially Black women, I know we're the fastest growing entrepreneurs, but do you feel like people perceived us as aggressive or direct, or I don't want to cuss on here, but the B word?
I got you. I think for me, I think that's just a stereotype that society has placed on Black women in general. You know, I've had conversations with women about, you know, being in business and what they have to do. Like, Black women have to work 10 times harder. Like, Black people in general, let's just start there, have to work 10 times harder to be successful than anybody else. Then when you add a Black woman to it, she has to work that much harder because, like you stated, Black women, if they come across as, basically they come across direct, you look at as mean, or you look at it as you're the mean Black woman, you're the mean Black. And that's not the case. They just know what they want. Like Sean said earlier, you know, if you get a group of Black women together, like, or even leaving Black men, they're gonna get it done. I mean, and that's what it is. They're gonna get it done. And like, I'm like, for the longest time, until recently, I had my supervisor, communities in schools, was a Black woman. And that Black woman, who happened to be actually in her 70s now, former principal and everything, Miss Marion Yates. Miss Yates said, "Yo, let's get stuff done." Oh, we shut down and we got it done. There was no question about it. It was almost like your mom talking to you. So, and I think that nurturing spirit, that you know, that drive, because Black women, if you look at Black women across the course of history, have been degraded for so long, and so that drive to be seen as a part of society that is working hard and making things happen, that's going to make Black women drive harder. So I definitely think, you know, Black women they should be seen differently than what they are, and not as the, like, you know, this the evil Black woman. I mean, you see that all the time, and I'm the first one to say, I mean, and real quick, just for me, I'm a large dude, so I understand that from the standpoint. I'm like, hey, look, if I start screaming in the meeting, somebody gonna stop, because I'm 6'5", 300 plus pounds. But same thing, I'm that Black woman, because I understand that. But like, yo, just raising doesn't mean, you know, she's just trying to get stuff done. So
right. Mm-hmm. Sean, Corey, y'all want to add to
that? Man, I think he summed it up. Like, for me, I just understand that, you know, women are the most powerful piece on the chessboard, and so, like, they allow us to think that we run stuff, but it's really them. And like, once you figure that out, their forcefulness and their ambition and their drive is not intimidating. Like, I think that when men are weak, they're intimidated by strong women. Yeah. And so, like, me personally, they my ace cards. Man, you do not want me to send my wife after you. Like, you just don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, for the most part, when you get strong pieces around you, if you're wise enough and smart enough and secure enough in who you are as a man, you'll let them women lead. But they know when to step up and step back when you have the right group of women.
Right. My grandma, she used to say that men are the head, but women are the neck, and the neck controls the head. And I was like, you know what, Grandma, you're right. You know, but anyway, Corey, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I've heard the expression that men are the head, but women are the brain inside, because they really making the choices. But I agree with everything said. I was raised by 3 strong Black women from very different generations, but they instilled so much in me to think differently and to kind of just respect the aspect of wherever I am. So it wasn't that they taught lessons in a feminine or a masculine way. They taught lessons that were transferable across the board. Now, the funny thing I think about when you first posed this question was, how many shirts can we go into a Target or Walmart or go on Etsy and you see man boss? What's the point of writing that, right? Why do we not think that that's a point to write that? But when we see girl boss, we recognize it as a brand. It means something. It has a meaning behind it. It just tells like how long it's taken to come to a place where you can recognize and see things as equal, and it's still not there. That's why women still have to say girl boss, Black entrepreneur, woman who owns a business, Black owned women. They're not just saying a business. You're not a businessman, you're a businesswoman. So there's a lot of different space to still be filled in as to why we can't change our mind to think that equal is a possibility. But the reason why there are so many entrepreneurs growing is just because of that. we all know that adversity pushes you to do bigger things and better things. And honestly, Black women are showing out. Literally in the last decade, 99% increase in Black women in entrepreneurship. And they're only saying 99, but it's probably 100. They can't say 100 because it would just seem unrealistic, right? But it's true. And if you look at what's happening around you, that's what's going to continue to happen. But I think that adversity is pushing young Black women to do exactly what they're doing. And we're paying attention to, and it's pushing us in that direction as well.
Yeah. So how do you guys think Black men could be better allies or supporters to Black female entrepreneurs? Because I know each of you have been an ally for me in a way that you may not have thought, or allow me to come into a space to provide an opportunity specifically to a group of young ladies. But I want other men to understand that they can do it and do it respectfully. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Because a lot of times I feel like it's just, oh, y'all the fastest, y'all don't need our help. But no, it's just as we open the door for you, we need y'all to continue to open the doors for us. So how do you feel like y'all can encourage men to do that more?
So I'll take this. For me, it's a process of stepping back and letting you lead and supporting, as opposed to trying to say, hey, let me show you how to do it. I got to tell my staff all the time, I don't know everything. Like I tell people I know that are in business, I don't know everything, but what I can do is support you. I can be supportive. I can be your biggest cheerleader. I can push to say, hey, because if I see, like, if there's a woman that knows what she's doing and is doing her thing, why am I trying to lead? And a lot of times I see, some of our counterparts, we feel like if we don't take the lead on something, we're going to get passed by. I don't care about being passed by. If this woman can do it better than I can, do it. Please do it. I want to, let me help you do it. Whatever I need to do to help. I tell people sometimes, if I'm the dude moving boxes and this woman is running the show, I'm moving boxes. That's my support, whatever it takes. So I think that's the biggest piece for males, is to, in certain situations, take a step back. Like, take a step back and support. And when I say take a step back, I'm not saying step away from what's going on. Mm-hmm. I'm saying take a step back. Don't put yourself in the front. Take a step back, support, and do whatever you need to do to make that happen, for that, to be that ally, as you said.
Right. Corey or Sean, y'all agree?
I think for me, man, like I use life experiences a lot, because I think experience is the best teacher. I think for men, there's understanding that it's okay to be a cheerleader, right? It's okay. It's okay to be on the sidelines, and like just for me and my wife, like, my wife Jania, she's a very, very strong woman, and so I had to really, really articulate in my household that I don't want you to be Lucky's wife, or I don't want you to be Sean's wife. You're going to be who you are, and I want to support you. Like, I don't, like, it's okay for you to come and support me, but what can I do for you? What can I do to help you? What can I do to build you up? And so I think that just as men, as long as we continue to do that, starting in our household, then it spills out into business, and we just continue to lead by example.
I like it.
I say check to that. And the one, I think, crafty thing I've done in my friend groups, or when I'm given an opportunity, I use my space that I have. If I have male privilege in any capacity, I use it, and I normally will inject or force like my connections to women on into that. Unless it's a male-driven, panel, it says a men's empowerment summit. Okay, then I'm not going to do that. But if you say any other lines of business, I'm most likely reaching out to Black women who are entrepreneurs, who I know is going to show up, I know is going to show out, I know is going to be on time, who's going to be professional, and who's going to give you personality. And that just may happen to be the women that's in my network for me to do that. So whenever I have a space to show up or give somebody a concrete connection or network, I'm most likely infusing Black women into that, who are in leadership positions or in positions where they're trying to start something up. So using that privilege is, if I have it in a male perspective or whatever reason I got to get to the door, open it up and let somebody walk in before me.
So y'all made me think of a whole nother question. Do you feel like there are gender roles within entrepreneurship? Because y'all said that women get it done, but are y'all trying to say we good at administrative stuff?
Nah, I say y'all good at everything.
Don't flip our words.
Y'all good at everything.
Right. You trying to get us in trouble.
You trying to give me a trigger?
No, there be plenty of times I've been in meetings and people and some dudes will kind of slide off the little Excel sheet, or they try to like Janelle do this, or she'll send the meeting planner, and I'm like, whoa, everybody know how to send a meeting planner.
I guess when you first asked the question, gender role and entrepreneurship, no, entrepreneurship is such like a lonely journey.
They're isolated.
Yeah, you do so much work in your dark lit extra room in your home or your living room with one light on. Like nobody's there with you doing that grunt work. So no, I don't think it's gender roles and entrepreneurship, but I do think that when you are expanding, there comes a place where gender roles can be a barrier. So, for instance, our situation worked out really good with Stiletto Boss. SBU was able to go, be in 2 locations, expand, do what it wanted to do. It had autonomy. That's not a situation where most entrepreneurs are greeted with. They're normally greeted with no's, barriers, challenges, what ifs, all things that can that's meant to like deteriorate or meant to weaken or weed out what is not stable or sure. I think when people want something new or they want to allow something, they want something that's guaranteed. And I know for me, even in my side businesses, my LLCs, all of that, entrepreneurship is not a guarantee. You're literally every single day, choice by choice, making this happen. And if you don't have a person that just has that mindset in general, they're definitely going to look at your gender or your orientation or your religion or your looks or your skin tone. There's so many other things that can come into it if they're in a decision-making power.
I agree with Corey, but like to me, not even just in entrepreneurship. I think in business, sometimes the more times than not, the women, they get downplayed.
Oh yeah.
To where it's just like, oh, that's your nice little business. Go ahead and go. But like, if you really peel back the layers of this woman's business, she built it up from the ground up by herself, and we really had to rely on women to build it up, and she did it by herself. So I think that you guys just get overlooked for your power and the dedication. And like he said, in entrepreneurship, there's nothing guaranteed except one thing. The only thing guaranteed in entrepreneurship is the grind. You're gonna have to work. If you ain't come to work, man, this ain't the field for you. Entrepreneurship, you better go try to get a check somewhere. Because if you're an entrepreneur, you're gonna have to work. You're the first one there, last one leave. You ain't getting paid. Everybody else getting paid. Like it's a whole different program being an entrepreneur.
That is so true.
Yeah, like for me, in the role I am, having to do a lot of contract work and different things like that, contracting with other organizations and whatnot. To your question on the gender roles, I'm sure I can't speak for everyone. For me, no, because for me, I'm looking for the best opportunity for the best program to help with my students. Now, I use Stiletto Boss as a perfect example. I could have gone to other entrepreneurship programs, but I knew you. I knew Janelle was. So I was like, yo, why would I go outside of somebody that's in my circle to do this instead of keeping it in the family, as we say, as African American, keeping it in the family is like, yo, I need this done. And so, I'll be the first to admit, I'm an African American male. 9 times out of 10, when I'm looking for somebody to do something for me, I'm probably gonna look for the African American first. Right. Now, if it comes to the point where I don't have anybody in that circle, then yeah, we'll look outside. But I'm just being honest. I'm gonna look to try to support my community and the people that I know around me.
Right. Y'all, that's why y'all my people. That's why y'all on this situation. You know what I'm saying? All right. So this question is really for Sean and Keith. So how is it seeing your daughters develop business acumen and actually execute that? Now, I know Aviana, she come from a long line, a generation of entrepreneurs. Every time I see Aviana doing nails or just doing something, or when I listen to her in the different classes, when I check in, it's always interesting. The same thing with Corinne. Corinne just kind of came out swinging, wanting to do hair and everything. So as a father, how does it feel to see your daughters being able to do this at such a young age?
I'll go first. For me, I love it, right? For one, I thank and I honor all of the ladies from Stiletto Boss, because as a father, as a Black man in America, young Black girls need as many safe spaces as possible. And this is a safe space, right? And in my household, it's taught that you are the job. We don't get jobs, we create them. And so that's all Aviana ever known, right? Like Aviana's grew up in the barbershop. She's never seen me punch a clock. She's never seen me ever in her life do that. And so she does it like if I was to tell her I was going to get a job or something like that, she probably wouldn't even understand it. And so that's why a place like Stiletto Boss is so important, to let them know that it's okay to be different. It's okay to think outside the box. It's okay to turn your passion into profit. Like, it's okay. Like, it's all right. And especially being a beautiful Black little girl, this is the place that you're going to get encouraged to do it. You're not going to get looked down upon. And so I think the biggest thing for me is Aviana's always knew entrepreneurship. Like that's something like brushing her teeth. But to know that there are other Black girls that look like me that are entrepreneurs, that's the biggest thing. The safe space that you guys provide, I think, is the biggest thing for me. And so I will always support you guys. And like I said, my hat's off to y'all. And like, y'all part of the family.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for me, it excuse me, it's very different because I didn't go the entrepreneurship route. I went to college, went to grad school, still in school, trying to get doing all that stuff. So for Corinne, she has only seen that, that path. So she knows my mother passed away when she was real young, so she didn't get to see her grandmother, but like that's all she's seen. And so for her to have that interest, to show that interest, and to, I was like, yo, that's dope. Like, she has people in our circle that, are entrepreneurs. So she's seen it, but like, that's not her. Kind of like to what Sean said, that's not the path she saw growing up. So for her to look at it and see it and want to do something, that was dope to me, because I was like, yo, I tell anybody, I've said this many times, I chose for me, what I chose is the easy path, because there's a track to do this. There's a track to go to college, get an education, go to grad school. There's a track for that. For like Sean, for other entrepreneurs, there's no track for that. That's you, Janelle. That's you. You making this happen. You know what I'm saying? And like, there's no track for that. So that I've always said, I took the easy route. Entrepreneurs took the route that was like, yo, I'm gonna do this on my own. And so for her to have that drive, that determination, of course I'd like to take credit for all of it, but I can't. I'm sure her mother had something to do with that too. But like, real talk, like I try to instill in her, the desire to want more out of life and to push to get what you want, whether it's in business, her schoolwork, athletics, whatever it is. I think that was my biggest push was athletics. I wanted to be an athlete, so that was where I got this. But when it didn't happen, I took that desire. Okay, let me apply those same principles, that same hard work I spent in football. Let me apply that to something else. Let me apply that to school. I'm still competitive. I gotta be competitive somewhere else. So I'm hoping she has that same drive going forward to make things happen. So, but to Sean's point, to you guys, like, Sean made a great point. It's a safe space. Stiletto Boss is a safe space for her to experience that, to see people who are doing it. Like her and Aviana, like, this is my first time actually meeting Sean, like, we're not meeting, but obviously face to face on the call. But I know Aviana because I've seen her. Her and my daughter, interacting, talking, they're cool because they have similar interests. And so it's that camaraderie, and somebody that, like, if the two of them want to bounce idea off each other, kids now, they pick up their phone, FaceTime each other. We don't know what's going on. Right. But they're making sure they're making it happen. So, that's a big thing for me and for what you guys do. So I'm definitely appreciate that from you.
Awesome. And I know Corey, you have a little tongue tied, so we can't take her right now. But we need
a pre-K program.
We're gonna get her at 4 or 5. As soon as she starts talking real good, it's on and popping, okay? But I know when you were at West Charlotte with communities in school, you saw more development of the chapter than I did. Because you would always, Corey would always laugh at me when I would come check on him, because I would always be looking stressed out, because I was stressed out. So, but he would see the development more than what I would, along with Brandy, which is the chapter ambassador. So how was it for you to kind of have this program kind of be piloted at West Charlotte and then kind of see it evolve?
So the thing about it was a solve all for me. So I needed engagement with young people. I had a caseload that had 70% young women on it. So at the time I was doing a college readiness program, I had to have about 150, or I can't even remember the number now, Keith, 165 or something like 250. There we go. So we had 250 young adults that was at a high school already, historically black high school. That's what I call West Charlotte. I'm always going to call it that. So we're at this school. 250 young people have to be served for college readiness. That means to give them an option to see it, to expose them to the opportunity of going to college. 70% of that was black women, young black women. So when I seen this as an opportunity, I'm like, this is a solve all. This is a chance for me to engage. This is a chance to get them in a safe space again, where they can bounce ideas off one another. I'm building community, and I'm doing something that's trackable, that I can evaluate. It can be analyzed. There's points to be proven. There's fact based. So it was a no brainer for me. But seeing the development was definitely special because I didn't know that they had those desires. We assume that they want to do well in school and go to college. Right. And that wasn't off the table. None of this threatened the concept of them ever going to college. It was about them being their own boss and having some source. Because most of the time when we're talking about going to college, they're like, that's great, but how am I going to eat? How am I going to make money? How am I going to get a car? How am I going to get gas in it? How am I going to party? How am I going to still look fly as I do all the time? Because when I leave Charlotte, my people aren't doing anything for me. This opened up their ideas of ways to do that. And then not to mention, social media now pushes entrepreneurship so much for them. I felt like this gave them the platform for it. Create a brand, create a website, do what you need to do, create a booking site, get into tech, whatever the case is. So it sparked all the necessary fires that I think for what I wanted at that time with that group. And it was really good to see their development. And even after now, still following some of them, seeing them do what they wanted to do.
Yeah. And one thing that y'all all have in common, of course, is that y'all are fathers outside of y'all being supporters of SBU. And just my personal story, I was raised in a single parent home. So I would really like to hear, what would your advice be to a child, specifically a girl that is fatherless, that does not necessarily have the support and encouragement to want to do this? What would you guys say to encourage them?
Don't be afraid to dream. Because I think that sometimes society and the things that we got going on in our personal lives, or us in home or your environment or your neighborhood, it stifles that dream. And that goes back to Stiletto Boss. That's the safe space. It's okay to dream. And you're gonna fail at some of this stuff. It's okay. And that doesn't mean that the world is over. So let's never lose that desire to dream and want better and do more. Because you're gonna run into the Mr. Corey's or the Mr. Keiths. But if that willingness to dream is dead, they can't help you. So never lose that.
Right. Corey or Keith?
Having a daughter now is like made me so soft. I hate the fact that it's really like changed so much about me, because if I would have had a son, I'd be like, go get it, man up, boss up, do what you're supposed to do. But when you have little girls, you just like, you want to do so much for them and take on so much, but then you see how kind of strong and resilient they are. I already can see, her personality and things, and you get those little pieces in her. But one thing I would say to someone is just trust yourself. Trust yourself, baby girl. You're going to make mistakes. Like, trust yourself that whatever you have as your core, like what is your true north as far as your morals, your beliefs, and your desires, trust yourself that you're going to have a lot of different people trying to persuade you, move you, talk you out of it, talk you into it. If you just trust yourself, and that feeling that you feel, or that gut feeling, that's intuition. And I'll be totally honest, a woman's intuition is unmatched. It leads you in a different place. You can call it what you want to. Some people think it's the universe talking. They think it's your chakras aligned. However you want to call it, trust yourself as a woman. I think that you have what you need already just to make those decisions. So it's not you having a lack of, but you just trusting yourself.
For me, my big, like I tell my daughter all the time, don't take no for an answer. Don't take no for an answer. Don't take failure as the final finality of what you're trying to do. Like Sean's point, don't stop dreaming, because if you stop, you're not going to reach your goal. But if you keep pushing, if you keep going, there are people out here that want to see you succeed. There are people that want to help you succeed. And I tell you know, even from the time we started with Stiletto Boss with CIS, you know, my biggest thing for those kids was like, yo, y'all have great ideas, but don't stop. Don't let it stop here.
Yeah.
Like, keep pushing, keep going, because that great idea that you might not think is a big idea may turn you into a millionaire.
Right.
So don't stop. Like, keep pushing, keep going. I try my best to encourage our kids as much as possible to, you know, keep moving forward, you know, because there's so much. They deal with so many other things, and especially to your point, Janelle, someone who may be in maybe in a home without a father, whatever. Like, there are people out here, like I said, they want you to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who want you to succeed and keep going, even if it's to, you know, if you gotta use that chip on your shoulder, dad not being there to push you to look, whatever it takes, keep going. That's my biggest thing.
I love it. Good. That inspired me. You know, I'm all right. So I get this question all the time. So I'm gonna ask y'all because I'm tired of it. People always ask me, why is there not a male entrepreneurship program, or why is SBU not co-ed? So I want y'all to answer it. Like, do you feel like we should be co-ed? Do you feel like there should be just a male entrepreneurship program on its own? And why do y'all feel like there is a lack of males teaching entrepreneurship to young boys? And it's like 5 questions in one. So however you want to answer it, you can answer
it. So do I think Stiletto Boss should take it on? Selfishly, no. But selfishly, no. And I say that because Stiletto Boss has a mission. Stiletto Boss's mission is to teach young ladies who are underrepresented to strive for something bigger. Mm-hmm. Now, do males need a program? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Like, I know, you know, from what I know about Sean, like with his barbershop, like he reaches out to the community. And like, young men can learn a lot from Sean, because Sean, like you said, this man just, how many barbershops is it now?
About 3, but it's getting ready to be 5 by
5,
Thanksgiving.
right. I mean, like for real. Like, this black man got 5 barbershops, and they not all in Charlotte. They move, they're all over. So I think that is that's knowledge that young men could use. But I feel like one thing I feel, I'm not gonna monopolize the time. One thing I feel is that young men have to show a desire to do it. They have to show a desire to do it. And I think from what I've seen, the young women I've been around show much more desire than young men do. Young men have the desire to be rich overnight.
Yeah.
And that's not how you become a business. That's not why you become a business owner, an entrepreneur, because you're not gonna get rich overnight. You gotta, like Sean, like everybody said, the grind is real. If you ain't ready to grind, like, because young men, like I'll give you a perfect example. Young men will get into a situation, if they ain't reaching their goal by their first 2 or 3 months, oh, I ain't doing this no more.
Yeah.
Whereas a young woman will go, but that's just, I think that's within them as young women. That's who they are. Mm-hmm. So does it need to be a program? Yes. Do I think Stiletto Boss needs to take it on? No, but I think Stiletto Boss is within their mission to do what they need to do.
Okay.
I agree. You guys are one of one. Like, you got to stand in your purpose.
Yep.
Your purpose is changing the face of Black female entrepreneurship. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I respect it. I agree with Keith. Like it's so organic and it's so genuine that you don't want to mess it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, we've had countless conversations off the record. You know, I've said way more ignorant things as to why this needs to be a no. I won't use this space to do it, but there are a lot of reasons why it doesn't need to be no. There are programs that exist. There's programs that have started. There's programs that's dissolved. There's programs that have happened. That has been there. Stay true to the mission of what's ahead. And again, I think we entertained it one time. It's like, well, if it's not Stiletto Boss, then what is it? What is the name changed to? What's the very first word? It signifies the whole purpose of women. So I'm like, why do you take on something else just because someone put the thought out there? And I've always told you, whoever asks you to do it, ask them to run it and see what they do.
Well, I'm not about to do it. So
Yeah.
I just get tired of getting asked all the time. And I want to refer. Like, I want to be like, hey, look into this program, but I don't know any. Not saying that they're not there. I just don't know any in that capacity. So, you know,
I think you should you can start responding with them and say we're consistently working on changing the equity gap right now for young women, and when we close that gap a little bit more, we can address that problem.
Okay, text that to me, please. All right, so we have a question from the audience. So it says, have you experienced a male counterpart discouraging or putting down a female coworker, or even deny her an opportunity solely because she is a woman?
I can speak. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And yeah. Because working in, I'm trying to get my stuff right. Working in education, you see it all the time. Unfortunately, you see it all the time. And for me, once I got into a position where my voice mattered a little bit, I'm speaking up about it. Now, as a younger person, you don't really, I didn't really know how to handle it. But when I've seen it before, as I moved up in position in different areas or whatever, I think it's obvious when you see, and we've all seen this in different capacities, when you see a person that is more talented, that has the skill set to do what needs to be done, but they're overlooked because they're female. I mean, I feel safe saying we've all seen that in some capacity or another. And, but I think that's where the ally piece comes in, because not being afraid to speak up and say something to their defense, because if we don't, like, if I don't speak up for my sister, and I call them black women, if I don't speak up for my sister, who's gonna do it?
Right.
Like if we in the street and somebody is attacking Jania and I don't stop it, what's the purpose of me even interacting? Because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, let me tell you, I got me though. I know self-defense. I know what to do.
Yeah, but at the same time, me hitting them gonna hurt a little more than you hitting them.
Yeah.
Right. So
and then I hit
right, there you go. Right. But yeah, I think it's our duty as males when we see stuff like that to kind of step up. And sometimes you're taking a risk. I mean, let's just be real.
Yep.
Now, if you're in a corporate setting, you taking a risk, but at the same time, for me, my morals are more important than watching somebody be put down. My morals are more important than that. My mama raised me different. I'm a country boy. My mama raised me to take care of my folk.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with Keith. And Keith, it's not even in the corporate setting, right?
Right.
The new shop, the shop that I got in Columbia, I hired my first set of female barbers, right?
Okay.
And so, one of the barbers, he was hitting on the female barber, and she was uncomfortable, so I had to get rid of him.
Right.
And so for me, being a barber is like a fraternity. That's a boys' club.
Right.
So for me to go out on a limb and be like, no, this is gonna be a safe space for you.
Right.
Like you're not gonna go home and be like, yo, I'm at this barbershop and like, nah, that we not getting ready to do that. And I've never in all my years, I've never hired a female barber. And people ask me why. I was like, I don't know, I just never hired one.
Right.
But when I identified it, and I'm like, yo, that's not right. Yo, how do you feel about this? And because especially now, you got all this Me Too. Like it's just a funky space. And I think there's like what he was saying, like we take a risk as leadership.
Right.
To be like, nah, like we're not gonna do that here. Like we just not gonna do that here. And if that's what you want to do, there's 15 other barbershops down 2 Notch Road. You pick one, but we're not gonna do it here. And so, like he said, like we just take that risk. That could have went wrong, but people like, yo, okay, they know me and they know what I stand on. And so it's like, but you definitely can take that risk. So you see it a lot, man. And it's just like, I think it's almost programmed into male counterparts to just be a certain way.
And I think also to what you said, Sean, to Jania, to your point earlier, all three of us have daughters. You get a different mindset when you have a daughter. Like your mindset towards women is not even no matter how well you're raised, your mindset towards women changes when you have a daughter that you're responsible for. Because like, I tell Corinne any day, you let something happen to you, like just for example, at school, I'm tearing that school down like brick by brick until I find out what's going on. Because that's my job to protect you. And I feel like it's our job as men to protect our women in any capacity. So like to Sean's point, what he said, that was his job. He felt like that was his job to step in and say, yo, this ain't happening here. And I feel the same way. I'm sure Corey feels the same way at his spot. We have to do that in order to make sure women are comfortable in knowing what that they're good, that they're taken care of.
I haven't I never seen it like someone be put down, but this is another way that I've seen it happen. Stealing intellectual property. So I've sat in a meeting and we've asked for a solution. A Black woman comes forward, offers a solution, gives logistics as we're just brainstorming. We just throwing stuff on the wall, hoping that it sticks. I've seen Black women do that and unload their intellectual property. And then I've seen just minutes later, a man will take that and add his twist to it, but it sparked his idea and then gets the credit for the idea because that's what we go with. That's the same thing. It happens all the time, but that woman battles, do I speak up and do I look like an old pick me? I want credit, but the man doesn't have to deal with that dilemma. All he does is gets to relish in the credit of it. So I've seen that happen before and I've called it out. I was in a position, like Keith said, where I wasn't really in a place to have a power of voice. We were really all equal. I called it out just directly with that man. And I told him, I said, whatever power you get or whatever credit that you get, you need to go back and hope to gain her as a partner or an ally. Even though you added your own flair to it, she sparked that idea for you. You did not have that out of thin air. So go back and loop her in. Now, what he did, being men per usual, he was totally unconscious of it. He thought that he literally had that. I said, no, those words were literally put out in the room's atmosphere. You heard it and you attached your own thoughts to it, which is still yours. But this takes place a lot. So I was like, go back, make sure that the young lady is a part of whatever y'all get ready to do and build, because she sparked this idea for you. Sad to say, brother, you did not just come up with that in your own intellectual space. She definitely had influence. So I think that happens a lot as often just as more as someone like putting down or being overlooked. Is someone steals your intellectual property, and then it's like, okay, now what does that do for the young lady? I'm not saying nothing. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, because I'm not gonna get the credit for it, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to take away anybody's voice.
Yeah, this happened to me plenty of times, and nobody did take up for me or fight for me. So I think sometimes when they say women are aggressive or direct, it's like you don't know what they've been through. So at this point, it's not just walls up, it's boundaries, because it's like they got to fight their way into it every time, especially when you in rooms. I've been in plenty of rooms where not only I was the only Black person, but I was the only female. So it happens all the time. So I'm glad you guys, again, step up for it. So I have one more question before we wrap up. How do you feel like that you impact the next generation? And whoever want to go first.
I go first. I think I impact the next generation just by, I like to call myself, I'm an angel investor. I invest in people. And so I invest in, I'm thoroughly knee deep invested in the next generation. And like everybody that knows me knows that. Like I send young men to barber school, I pay tuition. I do what I'm knee deep invested in this turnover. And I think that's the biggest thing. That's like, I feel like I'm just an angel investor in people, and that's my contribution.
I like it. And you are definitely an angel investor. Did I tell you something? One time somebody was like, I met this guy. He's so passionate. He reminds me of you. And I'm like, who? And she was like, Sean Corbin. And I'm like, that's him. I said, what he was talking about? I said, because we be talking junk to people. All right, keep the Corey.
I'm trying to come up like with the words to say it, but The only thing I say is I provide and have been in blessed spaces to give opportunity. So, Janine, earlier you were like, I don't even know where Corey works now. You know that I'm still working in nonprofit. So I'm actually serving Central Piedmont Community College. I work for a workforce development program now. I've kind of moved from college readiness to workforce development. So I take young people who are unsure about their next steps and I offer them a job in Fortune 500 companies to climb that corporate ladder and thus build a life for themselves and change the quality of living. That's essentially what I'm responsible for doing right now. Will I do this forever? Absolutely not, because I believe that there are other spaces that are coming up. So for me, I've never wanted to own and start something. Me and Janine have talked about this before. Why don't you start your own nonprofit? I'll never do it. But I'll work for a whole bunch of different ones to try to make them better and to raise that impact. So I think between awareness, exposure, and just me being in positions to provide options, because that's what Keith did for me, in a sense, is exactly what I continue to try to do. So I'm a part of the cycle and I want it to continue to do. And when I mentioned what I say about Keith, Keith was my mentor in high school. He was my Mr. Bennett for me when I was in high school graduating. And he's the reason why I ended up going to college for absolutely free in undergrad. So it was my responsibility to turn around and do something similar to that before. So that full circle just needs to keep repeating itself and adding in the moving pieces to the puzzle.
All right, so Corey kind of took mine, but no. For me, it's about my job is college access director. Okay, but that's my title. My job is to make sure kids have an opportunity to do something past high school and have something that's going to make them successful and stabilized in life. So people always say college access. I'm not one of these people who say it's college or nothing. Like if it's a trade, if it's a whatever it is, do something post high school to get yourself in a position to be successful. Like for using Sean's example, I encourage my young men all the time, yo, if you're interested in barber school, go. You realize how much more money you can make as a barber out here really getting down, doing your thing? Like, yo, go do it. Like, I know how much I pay my barber just to take care of my beard. And I ain't got no hair. So just to take care of my beard, I know how much I spend. So it's like, yo, go do that. But do something. That's my biggest thing. Do something. Don't just rely on your high school diploma, because 9 times out of 10, that's not going to be enough. So, you know, my what I try to put into society is like, yo, I'm trying to make sure these young people, and we serve 1,000 kids a year through my program. And so I'm trying to make sure these kids have something they can hold on to so they can be productive citizens in life going forward.
Well, Keith, get with me, man. I got
absolutely.
This graduating class. I'm saying it here. This graduating class coming up. I got some free scholarships to some young men that want to go to barber school.
Absolutely. Look. Hey, it was already back in my head.
I got him. Like, say less. I got him.
Absolutely.
Look at God. So we got one more question and we're gonna wrap it up. All right. So wait. Okay. The question: do you feel that women will ever be recognized as equal in the business world? How will you continue to amplify the work of powerful women in your circles? Thank you for that, Nikki. Hey, Nikki.
We're gonna let Sean answer that one first.
Do I feel that women will ever be recognized as equal in the business world? I think it's a process, and y'all guys are definitely being recognized more. I don't want to sit here and say that you guys are overlooked like y'all were 30, 40 years ago. So it's definitely a battle. And I think that women's equality battle is no different than racial battle or your color battle. Like, it's just another barrier. Like, because we all know that this game is not designed for us to win. And it's unfortunate that brown people, we deal with the things that we deal with, whether you're a man or a woman. So we definitely have a fight, and we definitely have a long road ahead of us. But I think there's like, how can men and how can we amplify the work of the powerful women in our circle is just continue being cheerleaders and being attentive and asking what do they need. Like, Janine, what do you need? Like, how can I help? Like, you know, just those things. It doesn't have to be your wife or your significant other, but other women in the community that are doing things. Like, every time I see Janine somewhere, we kick it for a minute. Like, you good? You straight? Like, so just as Black men, just being a protector and being cheerleaders of our women in business. I think that's how we keep the ball rolling.
That's true. Anybody else?
Go ahead, Keith.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. No, what I was gonna say, like, I honestly,
Corey about to start
I feel,
singing.
right. I feel like women will be looking to the question. I feel like women will be. I don't feel like they'll be equal. I feel like they'll be above. Like honestly, like, and that's real. Like I feel like women will be at a point where they're the standard. Because if you really look at it right now, in my opinion, it's standard now. Like the work ethic, like every male on this call, I feel safe to say our work ethic came from a woman.
Absolutely.
Yeah, our work ethic came from a woman. So that standard has been set in us from the time we were young. So like, I feel like that will continue to be that. And as far as for me, like to Sean's point, to everybody's point here, look, I'll be the biggest. Like you tell me what you need, I'll be the biggest cheerleader you got. You know, if I go whatever I need to do, if I got to help you go through, somebody look at a budget. Hey, call like Janine. If you say, Keith, my budget ain't right, holler at me. Let's figure it out. Like whatever it is. And I'm just using that as an example.
My budget ain't right.
I'm saying, yeah, just use that as an example. Like let's figure this out because I think we can't leave each other out there to struggle alone. We got to keep pushing and make it happen because if we don't, we aren't growing as a community. If we don't, so.
The last thing I'll say is I've strayed away from the word of like equality. I don't want that for anybody. I don't want equal anymore. I want equity. So I want things to be equitable and I want that to be the standard. I believe it's going to be a very fine time where it's maybe equal across the board and it won't get highlighted. It won't get stated. It won't get blasted until it's surpassed. And then it'll say men are in a deficit and we need to step up. It's just how things necessarily work. And I'm perfectly fine with that because all of that looks like healthy competition to me. And I think for every man to get on this call and maybe listening, competition for us drives a lot. It's the reason why we do a lot of the things that we do. And in short, for women is a lot of the reasons why a lot of men do the things that they do. So if you got to step up and be above us in a sense to make us step up to meet that standard, I'm perfectly fine with that healthy competition. But I don't believe with the moment that it is equal, I don't think it'll get the highlight that it needs to get. I think it'll only come back as it starts to see the bigger gap again when women are way above and they have set that standard like you said.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all. This was a really good conversation. I think the devil was trying to take me out. Y'all know what happened before. So the fact that we still went live despite other things just shows how important this conversation was. And I appreciate each and every last one of you. I cannot say thank you enough. And until next time, we will come back next December with our next Stiletto Boss Talks. We will let you know the topic. But give these men a round of applause for their honesty, transparency, vulnerability, and just being allies for us as women. Until then, peace out.
All right, fellas.